Chapter 4:15. Bang. Bang bang. Every word she said was like a drum that struck Fu Jian's heart hard. The girl's eyes were clear and her tone was firm. Every word she said gave him a strong conviction. You are you. You are you. Fu Jian fell into deep thought. In front of the screen, Fu Jian's fans also came back to their senses. Yeah. The character design of the Crown Prince wasn't very likable. It was Fu Jian's acting that shaped the soul of the Crown Prince. They cried for him, rejoiced for him, got angry for him, and felt aggrieved for him. It has always been the actor who brings the character to life. Xiangyi said seriously. You're the Crown Prince, but you're also the actor Fu Jian. The fans. Ah, she's so eloquent. Xiangyi is really a girl with a strong sense of self-awareness. That's rare. Sister E, please come out with a book as soon as possible. If you're so eloquent, say more. The confusion in Fu Jian's eyes slowly dissipated at this moment. All along, the team had been asking him to maintain his persona and maintain his popularity. He was also very anxious and felt that he was limited by the character of the Crown Prince and couldn't get out of it no matter what. In the past 2 years he had acted in a few dramas, but compared to the other roles, they didn't seem that outstanding. The pressure from the outside world made Fu Jian more and more anxious. Am I not good enough? Am I really at the peak of my career? Am I only able to keep that one classic role for the rest of my life? At the most extreme moment, he even developed feelings of self-loathing. Fu Jian even agreed with what others said, that he was lucky and that the role made him who he was. However, Xiangyi's words made him sober up. Fu Jian was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. Sister E, you're so nice. You're my life mentor and guiding light. He wanted to hold Xiangyi's hand, but Zhang Zhujiu smacked it away mercilessly. Pushed, don't try to take advantage of E. Fu Jian sniffled and asked sincerely. Sister E, do you have anything else to say to me? What Xiangyi said must be true and wise. He was going to write everything down in a small notebook. The next second, Xiangyi asked calmly, when you leave, do you want to take a jar of salted duck eggs with you? Fu Jian. Question mark. The duck eggs this time are big, and they are all double yolk eggs. After marinating, the golden yolk will drip with oil when poked. Fu Jian. You don't like it. What about bringing a jar of kimchi? I've made cabbage, radish, and beans. I've also made soy sauce and chili sauce. There are also many kinds of jam. You can take your time to choose. To the production team, Fu Jian and the others were guests. But to Xiangyi, they were all guests. How could she leave empty-handed? After a moment of silence, Fu Jian suddenly sobbed and exclaimed miserably, Xiangyi. Woo-woo. I also want to unilaterally announce that you are my biological sister from a different mother. Zhang Zhujiu exclaimed. Get lost, you plagiarized my poem. Fu Jian seemed to be on steroids as he cleaned the house, chopped firewood and fed the chickens. He couldn't stop at all. Sitting on the swing, Zhang Zhujiu was as angry as a blowfish as she stared at Xiangyi, who was pickling salted duck eggs in the courtyard, as well as Shi Sui, who was assisting her. Why aren't you coaxing me? Atrocious. She bit her lip, jumped off the swing, walked towards Xiangyi and stood still. I'm angry. I'm super angry. I'll give you a chance to coax me. I won't wait until it's too late. Humph. Chapter 4:16. The duck egg in Xiangyi's hand fell into the mud mixed with salt water and yellow soil, causing a few drops of mud to splatter. Huh. Why are you angry? Zhang Zhujiu clenched her fists tightly. You idiot. Ah, it turns out that in this world, what's more difficult than reading and understanding is a girl's heart. The pop-up comments in the live stream were filled with joy. Sister E, as expected of you. You're a straight woman. Ha 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 ha, Sister E, you're angry at Jojo. Ejo is so sweet. I'm going to eat it. All of a sudden, the man's low laughter fell into her ears. He said in a gentle and teasing tone, Isn't our sister E very good at coaxing people? Xiang Yi seemed to be in a dilemma. She only knew how to give out candy, but her hands were so dirty. How could she take it? Looking at Shi Sui's clean hands, she suddenly had an idea and nudged Shi Sui with her elbow. Help me get the things in my left pocket. Shi Sui readily took out a candy and handed it to Zhang Jojo. Here, Miss Zhang, have a candy. Not only was Zhang Jojo not comforted, she was so infuriated that she wanted to vomit blood. Seeing that Zhang Jojo was about to fly into a rage, Xiang Yi successfully appeased her. I have a gift for you. Zhang Jojo thought. Oh. After marinating the salted duck egg, Xiang Yi washed her hands and then took out a small box with a plain packaging. Feeling a little embarrassed, she said, Sorry, your birthday has already passed. Can this be a gift to make up for it? Zhang Jojo raised her chin arrogantly and said, It depends on my mood. She opened the box, and a beautiful necklace came into view. The chain was slender and exquisite, and the red drop-shaped pendant was gorgeous and dazzling. The pop-up comments in the live stream sneered at the necklace. Doesn't the vase fairy claim to be fair, rich, and beautiful? She's giving a crystal as a gift. It's beautiful, but the crystal is too cheap. Everyone knows that crystals are worthless. Zhang Jojo treats her like a good sister, but what about her? She's fooling her like a fool. As soon as the haters started criticizing, they heard Zhang Jojo's surprised voice. Pigeon's blood ruby. Did you dig it out from your mine? Xiang Yi nodded. Yes, this is the one with the best transparency, color and cutting quality. In an instant, someone came out in the bullet screen to explain frowny face Pigeon's blood ruby is an extremely pure ruby with a hint of indistinct blue. Its global production isn't high. Every one of them is worth a fortune. There were also people who began to recognize each other from afar. Gem mine. Sister E, I'm your long-lost sister. I'm really rich, I'm kneeling. Mommy, do you think my kneeling posture is standard? The trolls. This F***king shiny thing wasn't a crystal, but a pigeon's blood ruby. Do you like it? Xiang Yi asked cautiously. Zhang Jojo looked up at the sky with fireworks in her heart. However, she said arrogantly, It's all right, it's passable. After waiting for a few seconds, Zhang Jojo saw that Xiang Yi was still not moving. She puffed up her cheeks and said, Help me put it on. I can't reach it. Xiang Yi smiled and helped her put on the necklace. The pendant hung in the middle of her collarbone, making her skin look exceptionally fair. Zhang Jojo glanced at Shi Sui smugly as if to say, I have a gift but you don't. To her surprise, in the next instant, Shi Sui sighed softly. He had a firm grasp of the pitiful, innocent, and pure tone of a white lotus flower. Other children have gifts, when will I get one? Chapter 417. The fragrance of the tea that wafted over made Zhang Jojo confused. Does this dog grow green tea at home? Why would Sister E like such a dog? I can't figure it out, I really can't figure it out. Xiang Yi blinked and remembered that there was a ruby in the jewelry cabinet. Although it was not as high quality as the one she gave Zhang Jojo, it was much better than the one she gave Zhang Jojo. It was the size of a baby's fist and it was glowing. I'll give it to him secretly at night, lest others misunderstand and affect Shi Sui's reputation. In the blink of an eye, it was dinner time. There was porridge, side dishes, omelets, and salted duck eggs from Little Rabbit Farm. Fu Jian said, That's good, that's good. I'll be able to satisfy my appetite without getting fat. He was a male artist who had to maintain his figure, and the sumptuous lunch he had at noon was too much for him to take. I should be able to bear with it at night, right? Fu Jian picked up an omelette and started chewing. The ingredients for the omelette were the eggs laid by Xiang Yi's chickens, which Fu Jian had collected. He then mixed them with flour and a few vegetables to form a thin omelette. He also added some pepper to make it taste better. The pale yellow omelette was still warm and it was decorated with chopped vegetables. It was so thin that it was almost transparent. The original omelette was rich in aroma, and it could also be rolled in chili oil according to one's taste. The fresh and spicy taste would fill one's taste buds. Fu Jian's pupils dilated in disbelief. What kind of immortal is Sister Yi? How can she make an omelette taste so good? Hence, Fu Jian, who had been saying that there was no possibility of him gaining weight, ate a biscuit in a few bites. Within a short period of time, he had devoured 8 biscuits like a whirlwind. Xiang Yi was dumbfounded. Is a male artist's appetite that big? In comparison, Shi Sui ate too little. Is she deliberately eating less for the sake of being on camera? In Xiang Yi's mind, she imagined the pitiful Shi Sui going to work even though she was hungry. The expression on her fair and clean face became more and more solemn. She went into the kitchen and deftly spread out the pancakes. She picked up 2 pancakes for Shi Sui. Shi Sui was puzzled. Xiang Yi pulled a long face. Eat more. If you get any thinner, you'll look like a paper person. Her original intention was to remind Shi Sui that being too skinny was actually not good looking, but Shi Sui misunderstood and thought that she was despising her. Not in good shape. The man raised his eyebrows and decided to put fitness on the agenda to make his abdominal muscles more obvious. Dinner ended with Fu Jian burping. After the meal, Fu Jian lamented, "I can't go on like this. I'm going to gain 3 pounds every meal." He then changed into his sportswear and went for a run. Zhang Jojo wasn't considered a guest and she didn't care about her image either. Hence, she openly swiped her cell phone in the living room. After returning to China, she found out that Xiang Yi actually had a live broadcast variety show, but she didn't have the time to watch it. At this time, she wanted to catch up on the previous broadcast, but she accidentally clicked on today's live broadcast. The live broadcast room was divided into the main one and the personal one. Without any hesitation, Zhang Jojo chose Xiang Yi's personal live broadcast room. The pop-up comments were automatically turned on and most of them were praising her. Zhang Jojo. Why are these people so good at bragging? Some viewers discovered that Zhang Jojo was watching the live broadcast and the comments were flooding in quickly. Miss, is the violin difficult to learn? Do you know that you're very ill-mannered? So what if you're rich? I'm curious why you're friends with Xiang Yi. What's so good about her? I don't get it. Chapter 418. Don't you think Xiang Yi is too pretentious? It must be tiring to get along with such a person. The comments were all over the screen, making her dizzy. Zhang Jojo skipped over all the comments that were criticizing her and accurately captured the comments that were defaming Xiang Yi. Are these people full of themselves? Yi is so cute, why is she being defamed? Zhang Jojo exclaimed angrily. You guys are heartless. What right do you have to criticize Yi? When the haters realized that Zhang Jojo had really seen the comments, they became even more vicious. I still like girls like Zhang Jojo who are genuine. Xiang Yi is too pretentious. Isn't she tired of pretending to be perfect every day? Miss, blink when you're threatened. You weren't like this when you first arrived. Why are you defending Xiang Yi now? At the end of the day, the Vase Fairy is just a variety show star. Besides, apart from 2 Under One Roof, she doesn't have any other decent variety show resources, let alone a representative work. Although I admit that Xiang Yi is a little popular now, it's just a castle in the air. Without any works, her popularity is like a plate of sand that can be blown away by the wind. How can 2 Under One Roof continue to be live-streamed? When this variety show ends, she'll definitely be ruined. Zhang Jojo looked at the comments in disbelief. Has Yi always been criticized like this? Why is there so much malice between people on the internet? She belatedly realized that there was something wrong with Qin Wanyan's words. In the past year, she rarely contacted Xiang Yi and only met her for a short while at the Xiang family's old residence. At that time, Qin Wanyan was also present and pestered her to add her contact number. Later on, Qin Wanyan would send her messages from time to time, asking about her well-being and showing her concern. Those words gave Zhang Jojo, who was far away in a foreign country, a warm comfort. Hence, she once regarded Qin Wanyan as a friend. After returning to China, Qin Wanyan had asked her out for a meal. During the meal, Qin Wanyan mentioned that Xiangyi's personality had changed drastically. Xiangyi was cold-blooded and heartless to her friends. She was in love and only had men in her eyes. She didn't even treat her sisters as friends. She even complained that she had accidentally offended Xiangyi, and Xiangyi wanted to kill her. Now, her company was gone, her career was ruined, her fans had left her, and her acting career was coming to an end. Hence, Qin Wanyan wanted Zhang Jojo to plead on her behalf and ask Xiangyi to let her off. Zhang Jojo naturally wouldn't believe her completely, but she was more or less affected. When she first arrived, her attitude towards Xiangyi wasn't very good. Zhang Jojo felt extremely guilty when she thought about how she had caused Xiangyi to be scolded because of her attitude. Just then his phone vibrated. It was a message from Qin Wanyan. First, it was a weather forecast that reminded her that the temperature would drop tomorrow. She then said, "I'm so envious. Xiangyi treats you like a good sister, unlike me. I don't know how I offended her. That's why I ended up in this state." Zhang Jojo squinted and thought about how Shui looked in the afternoon. She gritted her teeth and typed rapidly. She replied, "Xiangyi won't bully others. You said that she bullied you. She must have. You deserve it." Qin Wanyan, who was on the other end of the screen, was speechless. Zhang Jojo raised her little face and said fiercely to the camera, "Xiangyi is not like what you guys are saying. She's the best and most gentle girl in the world. If you guys keep spouting nonsense, I'll make you bald." Chapter 419. Zhang Yi said in a menacing tone. There were no cameramen in the living room at this moment, and there were only fixed camera positions. In the director's room, Li Jianyu and the others were eating omelets and side dishes when they heard Zhang Jojo's words. Everyone, huh? Ah. She's a little cute. In the live stream, the netizens were also a little surprised as they didn't expect Zhang Jojo to say such a thing. You want me to make you bald? That's not necessary. I'm getting involved, my scalp is starting to hurt. Even if you want to make me bald, you have to make me bald. Everyone, look at your heads, do you have any hair left? Dog head, dog head. All of a sudden, the comment section was filled with the silly netizens insulting each other. However, there were still some people who refused to give up. The angrier Zhang Jojo was, the more smug they were. They were sarcastic and sarcastic. They would say whatever they could to infuriate her the most. Zhang Jojo clenched her fists tightly, wishing she could go online and beat those bastards up. A clear and gentle voice saved Zhang Jojo's bad mood in time. "Jojo, can I wear these pajamas?" Twazi. That realization made Zhang Jojo calm down. She turned around and saw that Xiangyi had picked up two pajamas, one of which was pink and white with rabbit ears and the other was creamy yellow with bear ears. Xiangyi remembered everything she said casually. Zhang Jojo suddenly felt less angry. What's the point of being calculative with fools? They're already very pitiful for being brainless. It's all right. Despite saying that, Zhang Jojo quickly went to take a shower and then changed into the pajamas with bear ears. Before going to the living room, she paused in her tracks and turned back to pick up her violin case. Beside the bookshelf, Xiangyi was flipping through a book on archery. When she saw Zhang Jojo coming out with a violin, she smiled and asked, "What song do you want to play?" Zhang Jojo corrected her. "What song should we play?" With a serious expression she asked, "Can we play together?" Of course, Xiangyi wouldn't disagree with such a small request from her best friend. "Sure, shall we go to the violin room then?" All of a sudden, the pop-up comments were full of mockery. "Please, she's the chief of Orpheus. Are you worthy? A student of folk music shouldn't embarrass herself in front of a student of classical music." Wasn't Zhang Jojo defending Xiangyi just now? Why did she change her mind again? Asking Xiangyi to perform with her is like asking the clouds in the sky and the mud on the ground. There was no camera installed in the piano room, so Li Jianyu hurriedly asked the cameraman to go over. Ruan Qing. You're that assured. Aren't you afraid that Xiangyi will screw up? Li Jianyu said casually. I admit that I'm gambling, but I think Sister Yi will let me win. He did not believe in himself, but he believed in Ruan Qing. Ruan Qing raised her eyebrows. She did not say anything, but her gaze was fixed on the screen. In the piano room, the members of the Xiang family all knew one or two musical instruments. There was a wide variety of musical instruments in the zither room. In addition to the perennial Western instruments, there were also zither, flutes, and other traditional instruments. Seeing Xiangyi wandering around the traditional instruments, the spicy tutu girls were worried for her. However, they saw her skimming past the traditional instruments and finally choosing a cello. It's not a 3-string or an electric guitar, but a cello. Someone mocked. Come on, this is a cello. How dare she choose it just because she knows how to play it? However, the moment the girl sat down and picked up the bow, her aura seemed to have suddenly changed. It's like the heavens are chasing after us to feed us. Xiangyi gestured to Zhang Jojo to indicate that she was okay. Zhang Jojo nodded, and in the next second, the melodious sound of the violin instantly caught everyone's ears. The chief violinist of the Orpheus Orchestra definitely lived up to his name. Even those who didn't know much about music could feel that Zhang Jojo's playing was particularly pleasant. A golden bullet screen appeared on the screen of the live broadcast room. Little Nocturne. Such terrifying strength. In reality, Little Nocturne was also a student of a top music academy abroad and was surrounded by many big shots. Hence, he could recognize how strong Zhang Jojo was. A moment later, the clear and beautiful sound of the violin was mixed with the deep and vigorous sound of the cello. It was the best accompaniment in the textbook, but it instantly made Little Nocturne's scalp turn numb. Chapter 421. It was just like in the vast sea of people. Some people were born with a spotlight that was dazzling and eye-catching. At this moment, the sound of the cello gave off that feeling. It was clearly a foil, but it became an existence that couldn't be ignored. How many instruments does she know? Little Nocturne muttered. For most of the netizens watching the live stream, although they didn't have as sharp a hearing as Little Nocturne and didn't know much about the techniques of playing instruments, they all had the same feeling. This ensemble is so nice. Unfortunately, I'm uncultured. I can go anywhere with the word F***ck. Xiangyi can even play the cello. Excellent. Yes, it's nice. For the professionals, it was even more shocking. The song that Zhang Jojo played was called Prelude to Spring. The rhythm was cheerful and it was full of the vigorous vibe of early spring. Correspondingly, it was also extremely difficult and had high requirements for the performer's skills. They weren't surprised that Zhang Jojo could reach such a level. However, Xiangyi, she was a student of traditional folk music, but she actually played the cello so well too. Many people had complicated feelings. They originally thought that Xiangyi was only good at folk music, but they didn't expect her to be equally good at Western instruments. This was simply a heavenly performance at the level of cheating. Besides, she actually went to the entertainment industry instead of using her impressive talent and abilities. What's she up to? How can the professional music students endure that? The song gradually reached the climax, and at this moment, Zhang Jojo suddenly showed off a relaxed series of bowing moves that were ingenious and full of vitality. Immediately afterwards, she didn't play according to the original melody and instead improvised. Xiangyi looked up and met her gaze calmly in the air. Without saying anything, she changed the finger movements of her left hand while her right hand danced along with Zhang Jojo's melody. There were almost no pauses and she perfectly matched Zhang Jojo's improvisation. Little Nocturne, : The golden pop-up comments appeared again with a series of exclamation marks, which was enough to show Little Nocturne's excitement. He immediately jumped up from the sofa and turned on the live stream device that was fixed to the tripod. While listening to Xiangyi and Zhang Jojo's improvisation, His slender and fair fingers landed on the black and white keys. The impromptu performance of the two became a trio. Little Nocturne's fans received the notification and clicked on it with great interest. But they were immediately stunned. In the past, Little Nocturne would try his best not to show his face in the live stream, or he would use the special effects of the live streaming software to cover his face with a cartoon avatar. But today, for some reason, his face was shown. In the camera was a boy with a thin figure and snow-white skin. The side of his face was delicate and smooth, like a handsome young man who had walked out of a manga. The most eye-catching part was his hands. His fingers were long and slender, with distinct joints. They were so white that they were almost transparent, but they were wrapped around an old red rope. Following his movements, white and red intertwined, as if it had a bewitching power. The fans. Where did this little angel come from? Debut online. Oh my god, Nocturne's looks are so good that she can kill a lot of idols in the country. Her hands, her face, her piano skills. *CK. Why does such a beautiful young man have nothing to do with me? After a wave of flattery from the fans, they realized that the serenade seemed to be an accompaniment for someone. Chapter 422. Most of the fans of Little Nocturne were music lovers, so they could easily distinguish the different sounds of the three instruments: piano, violin, and cello. When put together, they were like a small symphony orchestra. The violin's improvisation was spontaneous and natural. The cello's coordination was just right. The piano's addition enriched the timbre and pushed the climax of the ensemble to the peak like the icing on the cake. In the piano room, Jang Jojo closed her eyes and immersed herself in the performance. Soon, she ended the improvisation and skillfully transitioned to the last movement of Prelude to Spring. The light and nimble music was infused with a beautiful aura of spring, and it slowly and gently hit the softest corner of one's heart. When the last note fell, the violin, cello, and piano ended the piece neatly. It was as if someone had pressed the mute button. Everything was silent. The pop-up comments seemed to have been cleared too. However, a few seconds later, the screen was flooded with comments. Did Nuwa make me up to make up the numbers? Oh my god! Did you really not rehearse? Did you just improvise? I've been learning the zither for 3 years and I still can't remember the score even when I play a new piece from time to time. Are these two girls human notation machines? The long-awaited ensemble could be said to be hearty. Jang Jojo panted slightly and looked at Xiangyi. Xiangyi was also staring at her and applauding with smiling eyes. You're so impressive. Jang Jojo suddenly felt a lump in her throat. As a talented child, she had already taken a shortcut compared to ordinary people when it came to learning the zither. However, even geniuses had to work hard to defeat other geniuses. After learning the zither for more than 10 years, it was normal for her fingers to develop calluses and blood blisters. Even her parents and teachers would reprimand her. Xiangyi was different. She would always encourage her gently. You're not bad. Jang Jojo said proudly. You must have not played for a long time. Your skills are far worse than before. I'm too busy. Excuses. They're all excuses. She was clearly more talented than Jang Jojo, but she insisted on cooking. Jang Jojo was exasperated with her. Do you want to consider joining Orpheus? When the contrarians heard this, they were amused. Is the Orpheus Orchestra a place you can go whenever you want? Okay, I admit that she can play the cello, but does Orpheus want her? Don't insult the Orpheus Orchestra. That is the sacred ground in the hearts of young performers. It's not something someone like the Vase Fairy can tarnish. There was a lot of discussion in the bullet screen, but in reality, Xiangyi's expression was very calm. She shook her head and said, Jojo, I want to do what I like. Fame and fortune, applause and slander, she did not need and did not care. Because he had lost everything before. He knew what was the most precious. Jang Jojo pursed her lips, feeling a little upset, but she was determined to respect Xiangyi's choice. She pushed Xiangyi out of the piano room. You go out first. I want to be alone for a while. Xiangyi was a little bewildered, but she still nodded and did as she was told. The door was closed and the soundproofing of the piano room was excellent. Zhang Jojo was fearless as she moved her face closer to the cameraman's lens. Orpheus invited E when she was 15 years old. She doesn't need her eyes, but she can donate them to those in need. My sister is just that outstanding. I'm going to piss you off. Chapter 423. In the live stream, the netizens were stunned at first, but they immediately reacted. Is Zhang Jojo insulting the haters? Today's cuteness is a critical hit. What kind of peerless cutie is this? Wow, Missy is really just being arrogant on the surface, but she's actually very protective of Sister E. I'm in love with her. When can I have such a sisterly relationship? Our 8-person dormitory is going to debut in a palace drama. The amount of information in Zhang Jojo's words also shocked the netizens. She was invited by the Orpheus Orchestra at the age of 15. Doesn't that mean that Xiangyi is just as capable as Zhang Jojo in music? Nuwa, when you created Sister E, you must have meticulously crafted her, given her a free cheat code, maxed out her talent, and even created a few immortal brothers for her, right? Outside the door. After Xiangyi was pushed out, she happened to see Shi Sui, who was by the French window. Dressed in cotton sportswear, the man was reluctantly rubbing Xiao Naofu, who was unwilling to be rubbed by him. The reason was none other than the fact that there were no more material. Li Jianyu was now beginning to despise Shi Sui. Without Sister E around, he felt that he was simply too boring. He was either reading a script or a book, which was often mistaken for still images. In desperation, the production team had no choice but to bring Xiao Naofu and little Shiji over so that the audience could at least enjoy the cat. Xiao Naofu and Shi Sui could be said to be disgusted with each other. Shi Sui rubbed Xiao Naofu casually, obviously distracted. Xiao Naofu stuck its buttocks out at him and used its body movements to express its disdain for him. Little Shiji, on the other hand, was docile and obediently nestled beside Shi Sui's feet, dozing off in a daze. Hearing the familiar footsteps, Xiao Naofu broke free from Shi Sui mercilessly and scurried towards Xiangyi. Xiangyi squatted down and caught it. Xiao Naofu rubbed itself against Xiangyi's chest affectionately, and even pressed itself against her cheek in a bid to kiss her. Xiangyi kissed its forehead and asked softly, "Are you hungry? Do you want some milk powder?" Xiao Naofu glanced at Shi Sui, wagged its tail ostentatiously, and let out a cute meow. See, this stupid woman still loves this hoo-hoo the most. Shi Sui clicked her tongue and reached for her pocket out of habit. However, she quickly realized that he had quit smoking. He pressed the space between his eyebrows, feeling slightly irritated. Suddenly, a transparent and exquisite candy jar appeared in front of him. It was filled with lollipops. Here, fruit-flavored. The girl had a good voice. It was warm and soft, but not overly sweet. Shi Sui thanked her and watched as she proceeded to make some goat milk powder for Xiao Naofu and little Shiji. Hugging the candy jar, he smiled happily and seductively. He raised his eyebrows at Xiao Naofu and lazily provoked, "Kitty, what should I do? I have candy but you don't." Xiao Naofu let out a ferocious roar. Meow! In the live stream, this is the kind of couple that men should love. He's really giving out candy. Untimely sweetness is crying. That last syllable of yo is really asking for a beating, ha ha ha. In the director's office, Li Jianyu stared at Shi Sui in disdain with a look of disdain. Look, if Sister E doesn't show up, it's just a still screen. As soon as Sister E shows up, he's a horny dog. Just when he thought that Shi Sui was horny enough, he slowly picked up the kitten and asked with a chuckle, "Do you want a kiss, kitty?" Xiao Naofu shuddered with horror in its eyes. "Damn it, don't come over, aw, stupid woman, come and save me." Chapter 424. It tried its best to push Sure Sway away with its furry paws, its resistance written all over its body. However, Sure Sway deliberately misinterpreted its meaning. You want a kiss? As you're so clingy, Xiao Naofu barked angrily. Woof woof woof. A certain best actor who had easily angered the kitten into barking, blinked his long eyelashes and teased. You don't want it? You're such a hypocritical kitten. Do you want a kiss on the face or? He deliberately tapped Xiao Naofu's mouth with his slender and fair finger. Xiao Naofu trembled even more violently, and its fur stood on end. Would I be embarrassed to bully Sister E? Would I bully a kitten? Course, I wouldn't. The man's pale and thin lips were perfectly curved. Perhaps because he had just drunk some water, they were moist and glossy. He leaned over and inched closer to the soft kitten bit by bit, as if he was in slow motion in a movie. I don't know who to be envious of. God, let me have Xiao Naofu's soul. Ha 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 ha, Xiao Naofu really doesn't know how lucky he is. Wait, didn't Sister E kiss Xiao Naofu just now? If Sure Sway kisses it, wouldn't that be equivalent to indirectly kissing Sister E? Damn! Damn! Xiao Naofu was about to be kissed by him. Woof! Little Shiji bit Sure Sway's pants fiercely and hostilely. Sure Sway paused and glanced at the little Shiba Inu on the floor. Little Shiji was instinctively a little afraid of him, but its courage was commendable. Woof woof woof. Sure Sway seemed to be deep in thought and let go of Xiao Naofu with a smirk. Xiao Naofu scurried away so quickly that it left afterimages. It nestled at the kitchen door and stared in Sure Sway's direction vigilantly. Little Shiji chased after it and lay down beside Xiao Naofu, licking its fur to appease it. At this moment, Xiangyi came out with 2 bowls of goat milk powder and asked in bewilderment, "Why are you guys here?" Xiao Naofu looked up aggrievedly and complained with its chubby face. Meow meow, stupid woman, dog-like men are bad. Xiangyi placed the bowl on the ground and coaxed it for a while before walking towards Sure Sway. Xiao Naofu, she said helplessly. Sure Sway chuckled. I was just teasing it. The production crew. The netizens. Are you human? You're so calm and composed, you're worse than little Shiji. Xiangyi saw that the script from last time was still on the coffee table in front of him. She asked curiously, haven't you thought about it yet? Sure Sway pondered for a moment and said, actually, I wanted to ask you if you're interested in acting in a movie. Xiangyi was stunned. Huh! The to shio to Shiji to Zian to eat to. Best to be. To act to eat. She's just a variety show star. She doesn't have any representative works, yet she wants to reach the top in a single bound. Men are indeed creatures who think with their lower bodies. They have no bottom line when it comes to young and beautiful women. Hey, that's not how resources should be given. Xiangyi's acting skills in the TV series previously shocked me so much that I still have lingering fears. Don't worry, you can take your time to think about it. At most, he wouldn't take on the role. It was inevitable that there would be regrets in life. Sure Sway was quite open-minded about such matters. Recalling Si Chuanbai's call just now, he said, by the way, Brother Si wants me to tell you that you have to film a variety show in the next 2 days. Coincidentally, the official Weibo account of National Mass Workout happened to announce the news almost at the same time as Sure Sway. Chapter 425. Quanmin Lai Sports v. Xiangyi v Sister E, nice to meet you. It was a simple text that was much more straightforward and clear than a long speech. The comments section below the post exploded. Is Sister E a guest? What the heck? They actually invited Vase Fairy. Are you serious? Doesn't National Sports only invite A-listers or big shots? Everyone was discussing fervently. When the news spread to the live stream, it immediately caused an uproar. It's actually National Sports. Who dares to say that Xiangyi has no resources? No. This is the most popular variety show in the country with the highest viewership ratings. Only then did everyone realize how terrifying Xiangyi's popularity was. She could be considered the fastest rising female celebrity of the year. The spicy tutu fans were emboldened and quickly retaliated. "Take away our sister E, don't cue us." No way, right? No one really believes that Sister E doesn't have resources, right? Everyone, you can look forward to Xiangyi's performance on national sports. Our Xiangyi is awesome. No one dared to make any more comments except for a few haters who were still talking about variety shows, but no one cared anymore. Although variety shows were not a good term, the popularity brought about by variety shows was obvious to all. In a sense, variety shows attracted more fans than film and television productions. Many actors were envious of the popularity of variety shows, but they were also wary of going on variety shows. Firstly, they were afraid that their character settings would be violated. Secondly, they were afraid that, after their image was solidified, the audience wouldn't be able to immerse themselves in the show. Thirdly, they had to maintain a certain level of mystery and not oversell themselves. Hence, there were many restrictions. Xiangyi didn't have such worries. Instead, her performance was more natural, and it was easier for her to attract fans. Soon, the hashtag Xiangyi's new variety show hashtag became a hot search. At first, the program team of national sports added fuel to the fire, but later on, it became a spontaneous discussion among netizens. Some people were looking forward to it, some were criticizing it, and some were criticizing it. However, everything could be summed up in a simple word: popularity. Many veteran managers and entertainment companies in the industry keenly sensed that something was unusual. Female artists had a harder time than male artists in this industry. Generally speaking, male artists had more data, traffic, and discussions than female artists. Xiangyi. Her popularity was even greater than that of the other popular idols. People couldn't help but sigh. She was probably just short of a masterpiece. That was the moment when one would ascend to the pinnacle. Other than the variety show, there were two other hot searches related to Xiangyi. One was a duet with Zhang Jojo, while the other was a video that many netizens clicked on and were dumbfounded. Why is there an additional piano ensemble? Wait a minute, this little brother is too handsome. While countless people were licking the screen, they also dug out information about the piano player. Little Nocturne, whose real name was Ling Yi, was a student of a top music academy overseas. He was one of the Music District's Hall of Fame streamers signed by Xingchen app. Most people's appreciation of music was only at the level of, wow, it's so good. But Ling Ye's appearance was really too outstanding. Hence, the video quickly became popular on the internet and attracted the comments of many professional music critics. AG Turtledove v. Tonight, Ms. Xiangyi and Ms. Zhang Jojo played together to their heart's content and was extremely shocking. I also watched the duet with Mr. Xiao Nocturne, and after thinking about it, I'm really at a loss for words. Perhaps I can only describe it in 2 words. In my lifetime. Chapter 426. In this ensemble, the violin was fully deserving of being the protagonist, while the piano was an evenly matched opponent. It was as if they had met their match. The surprising thing was that the cello not only perfectly played the role of a foil, but it was also the best accompaniment and had a strong presence that could not be ignored. Its low and heavy tone neutralized the intensity of the battle. It had the vigorous vitality of spring when all things were growing and growing, as well as the gentle prelude when the snow melted and the ice river flowed. 3 instruments, 3 people. 1 + 1 + 1 no longer equaled 3. Gray Turtledove's evaluation could be said to be quite high. He was not the only one. Even a renowned musician in China, Old Mu, had reposted the video and added 2 words to it. Old Mu v. Not bad. The netizens were shocked. If they remembered correctly, the last time Xiangyi accompanied C7, this big shot had come out to play the bass. They didn't expect him to come out and support Xiangyi again this time. His status in the music industry was comparable to that of a national team player. Such an existence actually appeared to support Xiangyi, however. This was just the beginning. Several masters of the folk music industry, such as Sanxian, Suona, and Guqin. Anyone who knew how to use Weibo or had a Weibo account all reposted, commented, and liked the video. The netizens looked at the master's Weibo verification and felt a sense of suffocation. Ah, this is outrageous. Are all these big shots quietly paying attention to Xiangyi? Oh my god, Xiangyi is the darling of the folk music industry. No, it's not just the folk music industry, but also the big shots of the classical music industry. This is the first time I've seen so many big shots of the music industry on Weibo. I suggest searching for the term #MusicLegacy#. Oh my god, senior's words really touched me. Some netizens clicked on the search engine and the page froze for a few seconds before refreshing. Yusa V. Hey, the little girl can play the cello too? Thumbs #MusicLegacy# raised cat calls Depeng V. Tise. It's a pity that she doesn't play the era with such proficiency. Chinese Folk Music Association V. There is no circle in music. Whether it's folk music or classical music, it's worth passing on. #MusicLegacy #Zhou Yao V. Xiangyi. Do you want to consider coming to Beijing Classical Music for graduate school? Guaranteed employment. Music Legacy and Jirua. Don't fight with our Vienna Orchestra, okay? Xiangyi, 5 insurances and 1 gold, a cello seat. Sister E, do you want to consider it? #Music Legacy #World Classical Music Association V. Thank you to the 3 excellent performers for allowing us to enjoy this musical feast. We also hope that in the future, there will be more young people who like folk music, pop music and classical music as long as it's music. Music Legacy #. The netizens who saw this scene were all shocked. What was prestige? This was it. Who in the entertainment industry could get so many big shots and official Weibo accounts to support them? That night, more and more people remembered the name Xiangyi, and remembered Xiangyi's unparalleled talent in music. After the live stream ended, Xiangyi took out another ruby, put it in a box, and meticulously wrapped a bow around it. Xiao Naofu's fierce meowing came from the direction of the balcony. Xiangyi walked over and realized that it was Xiao Naofu who was yelling at Shi Sui, who was standing on the balcony next door. In the night, the man's figure was tall and slender, and the cool breeze gently fell on the ends of his soft hair. Chapter 427. Seeing Xiangyi's figure, Xiao Naofu seemed to have found a backer and roared a few more times. Xiao Naofu, you can't be like this. Although it was a reprimand, it was very gentle. The little cat turned its face away. Humph. Xiangyi curiously asked Shi Sui. What did you do to Xiao Naofu? Why is it always so fierce to you? Shi Sui. You teased it and said you'd take it to be sterilized. Xiangyi said seriously. Then don't say that in the future. Xiao Naofu is still a baby and its heart is very fragile. You can't hurt it like this. Shi Sui readily agreed. Okay, I'll listen to Sister E. Hearing that the dogman could actually speak human language, Xiao Naofu's icy blue cat eyes widened in disbelief. Xiangyi. Then you promise it. The girl raised the chubby, white, and soft little cat. Shi Sui probably didn't expect that there would be a day when he would bow down to Xiao Naofu. The tip of his tongue pressed against his chin in displeasure. After a few seconds he sighed. Xiao Naofu, I won't scare you with sterilization anymore. He had to listen to Tutu's words. Xiao Naofu's tail swung twice in the air, dizzy from the sudden bliss that fell from the sky. The next second it heard Xiangyi say, You're not allowed to be fierce to Shi Sui Gij anymore. Xiao Naofu. Meow. Humph, I won't listen. Xiangyi patiently persuaded. If you're obedient, I'll make you a luxurious seafood set meal, the kind that can have 10 ingredients. Xiao Naofu. Would this hoo-hoo bow down for a mouthful of food? Hey, of course. It made a sweet and soft meow, in a flattering and coquettish tone. Okay, then you two shake hands and make up, okay? Hearing this, Shi Sui and Xiao Naofu's eyes revealed rejection. But Xiangyi insisted. Thus, Shui had no choice but to stretch out her bony fingers. Xiao Naofu also reluctantly stretched out its chubby paw. The man and the cat shook hands across the balcony for less than a second. Then, as if they had touched something dirty, they hurriedly retracted their hands. Shui was rather calm, but Xiao Naofu couldn't tolerate it at all. It jumped out of Xiangyi's arms and got ready to look for little Shiji to lick. It did not want him to lick it. A dog man's hand definitely smelled like a dog. Looking at Xiao Naofu's back, Xiangyi couldn't help but laugh. Seems to have really gained weight. Its body was round, its fur was soft, and its legs were short. It looked extremely adorable. Shui replied with a soft, aha. Even he, who didn't like small animals, actually thought that Xiao Naofu was quite cute. But because she was cute, it was more fun to bully her. Smiley face. By the way, this is for you. Xiangyi handed the box over. Shui was a little surprised and raised his eyebrows. I get a gift too. Xiangyi explained seriously. Children need to get gifts, and so do adults. Shui seemed to be stunned for a second. Or maybe it was just Xiangyi's imagination. The man's peach blossom-shaped eyes were curved inward, and his eyelashes were longer than a girl's. When they drooped down, they cast a faint shadow on his cold and fair skin. Opening the box, a ruby the size of a baby's fist reflected a dazzling light. It was unbelievably beautiful, Xiangyi said. Although this isn't as pure as Jujio's, but it's big. It's shiny too. The man's lips curled into an ambiguous smile. It is quite big. Then, for some reason, Xiangyi was a little nervous. Do you like it then? Chapter 428. The night was gentle, and the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. There was a faint fragrance of flowers in the air. Shui stared at her and curled his lips, as if he was answering her question, but also as if he was confessing to her. I like it. Yes, I like everything that Xiangyi gives me. The clear eyes of the young girl in front of him curved up, as if they were filled with moonlight, quiet and beautiful. As long as you like it. Xiangyi smiled. I'll go in then. Wait a minute. Shui stopped her. Xiangyi turned her head and looked at him in confusion. The man took out a velvet box from his trouser pocket and said, It's sponsored by the brand. See if you like it. Xiangyi opened it. It was a very delicate bracelet with a neutral design. There were a few diamonds on the bracelet, and each of them was big. As it spun, it reflected a dazzling light. Xiangyi knew a lot about jewelry because of the gem mine her aunt had given her. She asked, Will the brand sponsor such an expensive piece of jewelry? Shui's expression didn't change. Xiangyi had always believed everything he said. She said, You're indeed popular. That was why the brand had sponsored such an expensive bracelet. Then is it okay for you to give it to me? Didn't the brand ask you to wear it? Xiangyi asked. Well, Shui chuckled. And I think it suits you better. Xiangyi picked it up and looked at it carefully. She liked this bracelet very much, so she didn't shy away from politeness and said graciously, Thank you. Do you want me to put it on for you? Xiangyi didn't think much of it and handed her hand and the bracelet to him. The man lowered his long eyelashes and carefully fastened the bracelet for her. His slightly calloused fingers inadvertently rubbed against the girl's fair wrist bone, evoking a slight itch. Xiangyi's fingertips trembled. All right. The man's deep voice pulled her back to reality. Xiangyi retracted her hand and curled up uncomfortably. Her voice was unbelievably soft. Thank you. So this is how it feels to like someone. She was deep in thought. Shui blinked and asked, In that case, good night? Xiangyi, good night. The two of them said good night to each other, and Xiangyi went back to her room first. Her footsteps were light, and she even skipped a few steps. Shui was still on the balcony with one hand in her pocket. She didn't find the cigarette box, but a lollipop. It was a candy from Tutu. His addiction to smoking was actually very strong. Enduring until now was almost his limit. However, the moment he saw the candy, his eyes were filled with lust. He slowly peeled off the candy wrapper and bit into it. The sweetness spread and stimulated the nervous system to secrete pleasurable dopamine. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He suddenly felt that quitting smoking was not that difficult. When Xiangyi returned to her room, Zhang Jojo happened to push the door open and enter. When she saw the bracelet on her wrist, she squinted. "Are you in a relationship with that dog of a man?" She sounded as if she was questioning the scumbag's infidelity. Xiangyi said, "Oh." Zhang Jojo heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. I knew you wouldn't like him." Xiangyi hesitated for a moment, but she still chose to be honest with her friend. "I think he might not like me." Zhang Jojo was speechless. Looking at Zhang Jojo's dumbfounded expression, Xiangyi calmed down. She didn't confess because she didn't want to affect Shi Sui during the livestream. However, liking someone wasn't something to be ashamed of. She nodded and said, "Yes, I like him." Chapter 429. Pitter-patter. Zhang Jojo froze in shock as if she had been electrocuted. Her lips quivered and she couldn't believe what she had just heard. How could my adorable and perfect fall for Shi Sui, that dog of a man? Zhang Jojo raised her hand and checked the temperature of Xiangyi's forehead before muttering to herself. Why isn't it hot at all?" Xiangyi was caught between laughter and tears. "I don't have a fever." "No, you have a fever," Zhang Jojo said firmly. "Sit here obediently, I'll go get you a thermometer to measure your temperature." She pressed Xiangyi onto the bed forcefully and after taking a few steps out, she realized that she was being a little too concerned and added proudly, "Don't misunderstand. I'm just afraid that you'll infect me with your fever." Humph. A few minutes later, Zhang Jojo looked at the number on the thermometer, 36.8 degrees Celsius, and finally accepted the reality. E doesn't have a fever equals E is conscious equals E likes a dog of a man equals that dog of a man has snatched E away. Ah. Does he deserve it? He doesn't. Zhang Jojo asked resentfully. What do you see in him? Isn't he just good looking? Isn't he just successful in his career? Isn't he just... She suddenly paused and realized that she was talking about Shi Sui's strengths. She flew into a rage out of humiliation and said, Wake up, are you such a superficial person? You've seen all kinds of handsome men. Must you be lusting after his face? Xiangyi bit her lower lip and reflected for a few seconds before saying, I think I am. Zhang Jojo was speechless. Xiangyi said, He has a great figure too, he has abs. Zhang Jojo was speechless. So you're not only lusting after his face, but you're also lusting after his body. Zhang Jojo was so angry that she couldn't sleep well the entire night and couldn't get up in the morning either. Xiangyi covered her with the blanket and went out for a morning exercise. When she returned, she watered the plants and sprayed some activator. Sister E. Fu Jian was like a monkey. His hair was uncombed and his face was unwashed. He rushed out and held his phone excitedly. I'm famous. After one night, in addition to the trio's ensemble that attracted a lot of attention, there was also something that people in the circle didn't expect. Fu Jian was on fire. The fire could be said to have caught them off guard, but if one were to examine it carefully, it would be logical. His popularity was already there, and he was also an A-list male star. It was just that he hadn't had any good works in a long time, so he had been relying on the image of the crown prince. He didn't expect that yesterday's interaction with Xiangyi would be trending, and his popularity would suddenly rise. His agent received a huge stack of scripts and he received invitations from crosstalk masters, comedians, and Saturday talk shows. He was so excited that he spoke incoherently. Fortunately, Xiangyi was patient enough. After listening to him, she said with a smile, Congratulations, you've gotten what you wanted. Do you have any variety shows that you want to go on? Fu Jian clenched his fists and said with a serious expression, Actually, I really want to go, but I think Jiang Jojo is right. If I act in one show, people will like me because of one role. If I act in 10 shows, they might like me because of 10 roles. As an actor, I have to act well and perform well. That's the only way I can truly be responsible to my fans. When a young man was confident, he would look confident and dazzling even if he was unkempt. However, he only looked suave for 3 seconds before he smiled foolishly and said, Sister E, let's hug for the sake of our half-siblings. Behind him, a dangerous gaze was fixed on him. P.S. The freshmen have been busy reporting for the entire day. Because my roommates all go to bed early, I might have to write a lousy update today in order not to affect others. If I can find a way to write it, I'll update it. You can read it tomorrow, but it might not happen. Anyway, you don't have to wait for today. Good night. Chapter 430. Fu Jian didn't notice anything and simply stretched out his arms to give Xiangyi a bear hug. Xiangyi remained calm and took a step back to avoid Fu Jian's touch. You don't have to hug me. Fu Jian scratched his head and said, I'm not that ugly. Due to the angle, Xiangyi didn't see the slender figure at the door. She said seriously, It's not because of you, I have someone I like. Huh? Fu Jian was shocked. Sister E actually has someone she likes. Who could it be? Before he came, he didn't know much about two under one roof. He was usually busy with his schedule and rarely surfed the internet. He didn't even know what untimely internet was. Simply put, he didn't even have a 2G internet connection. He wasn't even connected to the internet. Hearing the girl's calm and gentle voice, Shui tapped her fingertips against the wall, but the rhythm of her tapping was very chaotic. She has someone she likes. Could it be him? Or someone else? Shui realized that she was actually a little nervous. Until... Sister E. I'm here to pick you up. Her manager, Ah Nan's brisk and enthusiastic voice came from the direction of the gate. He was carrying a large school bag, dressed in a short-sleeved shirt and jeans, looking like a fresh college student. Si Chuanbai, who was dressed in a suit and exuded an elite aura, was standing beside him. The two of them were about 10 centimeters apart in height and their clothing styles were very different. Surprisingly, they didn't look out of place when standing together. Ah Nan. Xiangyi smiled and asked, Have you had breakfast? Ah Nan said honestly, Not yet, my car broke down and Mr. C sent me here. Si Chuanbai, who was beside him, suddenly covered his mouth with his hand and coughed twice. Ah Nan immediately understood. Mr. C hasn't eaten either. Xiangyi said, Come in then, I've cooked fish balls and rice noodles. Si Chuanbai smiled and said, Sorry to trouble you, Miss Xiang. The fish balls were made by Xiangyi early in the morning. She chopped fresh fish and mixed it with sweet potato powder. Then she used the fish as the skin and wrapped it with various fillings. The fish balls were white and shiny, with thin skin and lots of fillings. The rice noodles cooked in the casserole were refreshing and smooth. After putting them into the bone broth, a spoonful of fish balls was poured over, chopped green onions, chili oil, soy sauce and other simple seasonings. The piping hot fish ball rice noodles was served in front of him. Gulp! Ah Nan swallowed his saliva and suppressed his appetite. He pushed the bowl in front of Si Chuanbai. Mr. C, please eat first. Si Chuanbai adjusted his glasses and passed the rice noodles over expressionlessly. I'm not hungry yet. Ah Nan's eyes lit up. Then I'll eat first. Up to you. Yeah. Ah Nan cheered in his heart as he picked up his chopsticks and started eating. The rice noodles were slightly chewy, the broth was mellow and warm, and the fish balls were the best. He ate pork fillings, shrimp fillings, mushroom fillings, tofu fillings. Every one of them was delicious. Ah Nan was so hot that he couldn't stop breathing. Phew. Si Chuanbai said, Slow down, no one's going to fight with you. Wow, this is delicious. This is delicious too. When it was Si Chuanbai's turn, he used all his self-control but still couldn't restrain himself from eating. On the other hand, Fu Jian was also eating, without the burden of being an A-list actor. Nan was the first to finish a bowl and made a heart to Xiangyi. Sister Yi, I love you. Xiangyi smiled and made a gesture of catching her heart. Although she hadn't known Nan for long, she felt that the two of them were like best friends. Little did she know that Fu Jian, who saw this scene, suddenly looked horrified. Chapter 431. Is the person's sister Yi likes her manager? Fu Jian's chopsticks paused in midair and he paced back and forth between Nan and Xiangyi. Sister Yi smiled at Nan. Sister Yi cooked another bowl of rice noodles for Nan. Sister Yi scooped a large spoonful of fish balls for Nan. The more he looked at it, the more suspicious it seemed. Fu Jian made a logical conclusion in his mind. Sister Yi treats Nan well, which means that Sister Yi likes Nan. However, in the next moment, the corners of Si Chuanbai's mouth were stained with soup. Nan actually took out a piece of tissue and wiped the corners of his mouth. He said in a concerned tone, Mr. Si, be careful when you eat, don't drip on your clothes. After all, his suit was so expensive that it could only be dry cleaned. It was very expensive. Si Chuanbai's body stiffened. Thank you. Fu Jian was speechless. Young man, why are you so gay? Sister Yi likes me and I like someone else. Isn't this a love triangle? Fu Jian, who had imagined a huge drama, was so heartbroken that he couldn't breathe. He felt that it was unfair for Sister Yi. Sister Yi deserves better. Fu Jian was upset but he had nowhere to vent. Zhang Jiujiu was still asleep and Si Chuanbai was the person involved in the love triangle. After thinking about it, he felt that Senior Shi was the only reliable person to listen to him. Unlike Nan and the others who were wolfing down their food, Shi Sui ate slowly. However, he would finish everything that Xiangyi cooked. A man with messy hair suddenly popped up from the side and said sneakily and mysteriously, Senior Shi, do you know who Sister Yi likes? Shi Sui asked. Huh? Nan. It's Nan. Fu Jian said in a surprised tone as if he had discovered a new continent. Why did she fall for Nan? Fu Jian said in a distressed tone. She looks like I can do it too. Actually, I quite like her. Shi Sui raised her eyebrows. Really? Fu Jian chuckled. Of course. Sister Yi is so cute. Other than Senior, who wouldn't love her? He had a clear memory of Shi Sui's misogyny. Back then, there was a female extra in the cast who tried to force a kiss on him. She had merely touched his arm, and Shi Sui had vomited. He even vomited a lot. Later on, Fu Jian heard the director vaguely mention that Shi Sui's illness was not physical but psychological. There was a hurdle in his heart that he couldn't get over. He had to walk out on his own or someone had to pull him out. Otherwise, he would have resisted any intimate actions with women his entire life. How great would it be if Sister Yi likes me? Fu Jian was lost in his fantasy. I'll definitely give her all my pay. It wouldn't be fast to get married in a year, would it? As for children, it'd be best if it's a boy and a girl. 2 daughters would be fine, but what about 2 sons? It's worrying. Shi Sui elegantly bit into a fishball, causing the gravy to splatter everywhere. The aroma made him squint slightly. You're right. Fu Jian thought he was referring to the children. Hey Senior, you don't like sons either. Right. Younger daughters are better. Shi Sui suddenly said. I'm also human. Fu Jian laughed. Senior, your joke is really cold. Ha, if you're not human, then what are you? Shi Sui was calm and composed. Fu Jian's laughter stopped abruptly. Who wouldn't love a human? I'm also human. His gaze was even more horrified. It was the kind of panic that one would feel when they suddenly connected from a 2G network to a 5G network. Chapter 432. Oh my God. Did I find out some big secret? Senior sure actually likes women. And the one he likes is Sister E. So here's the problem. He likes Sister E, but Sister E likes someone else. Doesn't this mean that we're back to the Matryoshka doll mode? A love triangle within a love triangle. It turns out that the one suffering the most is Senior Sure. Beneath his glamorous appearance was a sad man who cried silently in the middle of the night. Fu Jian's gaze towards Sure Sui gradually turned sympathetic. He boldly patted Sure Sui's shoulder and said, "Senior, it's not easy for you either." Sure Sui was confused. On the other side, after breakfast, Nan began to discuss work matters with Xiangyi. This time, Xiangyi was invited to save the day. A popular male celebrity who was originally invited couldn't participate for some reason, so the director of the program decided on Xiangyi at the last minute. "Good girl, I'll go with you for the next 2 days. That program is really tiring, you have to be mentally prepared," Nan said earnestly, wishing that he could take Xiangyi's place and suffer in her place. Xiangyi said calmly, "Do you want to eat dumplings? Wrap them up with meat, vegetables, and other delicacies and chill them for dinner." Nan was speechless. "I'll eat." "Okay, sit down and wait for me." Xiangyi went into the kitchen and busied herself while Nan sat obediently on the small stool. He felt that he wasn't on a field trip, but a public trip with free meals. After the dumplings were wrapped, Nan took on the task of packing them while Sichuan Bai helped him. Xiangyi simply packed her luggage and pulled it to the bedroom door. Sure Sui naturally took it from her. The man was tall and had long legs, so the height of the suitcase was a little low for him. He lifted it to the highest point and barely reached a comfortable position. "I'll send you out," he said. Xiangyi nodded and walked out while giving him some trivial instructions. "Don't feed Xiao Naofu too many snacks, it's time to lose weight. There are still leftover fish balls and dumplings in the freezer. You can make steamed dumplings and curry fish balls with Director Li and the others. Also, the fish tank I bought will arrive in the afternoon. Uncle Wang will send the fish over then. Please take good care of them for me." Sure Sui listened quietly, occasionally nodding to indicate that she was listening. The road to the gate was very long, but it also seemed very short. Sure Sui put the luggage into the trunk with one hand. Xiangyi inexplicably felt a kind of sadness of parting. So this is what it feels like to leave someone important. She thought in a daze. When her brothers left, did they also have such a feeling of loss? Sure Sui's words pulled her back to reality. "Sister E, have a safe trip." "Bae." Xiangyi blinked. "You should also take care of yourself." "I will. I'll be back as soon as I'm done with work." Xiangyi scratched her palm with her fingers, feeling a little itchy and uneasy. "Whatever you want to eat, I'll make it for you." Sure Sui stared at her with a gloomy gaze. Seemingly having thought of something, he smirked and asked, "You can eat whatever I want. Then it's a deal." His deep voice was warm and pleasant, making Sure Sui's heart skip a beat. "Sister E, you can't go back on your word." Xiangyi's face was pale and she said with a solemn expression, "I won't." Afraid that Sure Sui wouldn't believe her, she stretched out her finger and said, "We can pinky swear." Sure Sui chuckled and was about to pinky swear with her when Jiang Jojo yelled hysterically behind them, "Ah, you're not allowed to hold hands." "No, no." Chapter 433. Xiang Yi inexplicably had a guilty conscience. She retracted her hand and hid it behind her back. Jiang Zhuzhou didn't even change out of her barriered nightgown as she scurried over and stood between the two of them. "Yi, how can you hold a man's hand?" Xiangyi said. "No, I didn't, I just want to pinky swear with him." "You want to touch a man's hand?" Jiang Zhuzhou's interrogative tone made Xiangyi dumbfounded. Although there's no causal relationship between pinky swear and touching hands, it seems to be parallel?" Jiang Jojo glanced around uneasily and said, "No, no." Sure Sui chuckled softly. He realized that Jiang Jojo really didn't know how to lie. Her body language all betrayed her. As her best friend, Jiang Jojo of course could tell too. She stomped her feet in anger and exclaimed, You're not pure at all. Xiang Yi pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Epsilon Shui said gently, Miss Jiang, Sister E is about to set off. Jiang Jojo snapped out of her trance and asked aggrievedly, Why didn't you wake me up? Xiang Yi said, I saw that you were sleeping soundly so I didn't wake you up. However, I've left you some breakfast. It's in the fridge. You can eat it after heating it up. It's your favorite fish balls. Jiang Jojo's resentment instantly vanished because of Xiang Yi's words. Her ears were red and she tapped the ground with the tip of her foot. Pretending to be indifferent, she said, So you still remember my preferences? I've always remembered that your favorite meat is fish, your favorite vegetable is kale, and your favorite fruit is mango. Jiang Jojo listened for a long time and was satisfied. She then pretended to say, Okay, I didn't ask you that much. After saying that, she glanced at Shui from the corner of her eyes. Shui didn't get angry and simply smiled politely. In contrast, Jiang Jojo seemed like an unreasonable child who was looking for trouble. Jiang Jojo was mature, steady, and magnanimous. Jiang Jojo was speechless. Scheming dog. Anan and Si Chuanbai also came out. Be good, we should go, Anan reminded. The filming started in the afternoon, and they still had to do their makeup and hair when they arrived. After all, National Mass Workout wasn't as casual as 2 under 1 roof. Only then did Jiang Jojo slowly take out a pink purse from her pocket. Here, this is a peace talisman that I casually asked for. No, it's a free gift that I gave to others when I asked for one. You don't have to take it to heart. It's not something valuable. Just throw it away if you don't like it. Although he spoke proudly, his hands were trembling slightly. He was afraid that Xiang Yi would refuse. Xiang Yi took it and carefully put it in her pocket. She patted her pocket and said in a gentle voice, Jojo, I will keep it well. Jiang Jojo felt a lump in her throat and she looked away. Leave then, don't say goodbye to me. I hate hearing those words. Xiang Yi tilted her head and thought about it before suddenly giving Jiang Jojo a hug. She gently patted Jiang Jojo's back. See you next time then. Jiang Jojo's eyes turned red. You're a man of your word. Whoever stands you up is a dog. Okay. Fu Jian, who came out to join in the fun, was even more confused. Why is there another pair of romance lines? So, it's a love triangle within a love triangle and then a love quadrangle. Si Chuanbai steadily parked the car at the filming location. In the dressing room, a woman's disgruntled voice sounded. Chapter 434. Are you kidding me? What right does that woman have to film the show? Does she deserve to be in the same frame as me? Your production team is really funny. Of all people, why did you hire a D-lister? Another person who seemed to be a staff member said in a humble tone. Sister Yen is right. Teacher Su, please bear with us. You'll regret it sooner or later. She's a troublemaker. If she causes any trouble, don't expect me to clean it up for her. When she was almost done venting, a sweet and soft voice sounded like the spring breeze in March. Okay, don't make things difficult for her. I'll just be more careful. The staff member was relieved and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Thank you, Teacher Su. You're so nice. Sister Yen said. Forget it, I won't say anything else. Give us the mission card for this episode in advance. Well, the staff member was a little hesitant. According to the rules, they couldn't reveal it to the guests, but when he saw the beautiful face of the young woman in front of him, he was momentarily bewitched. Okay then, I'll send you the electronic version later. Remember, don't spread it. You're so nice. Thank you, let's add each other on WeChat. I'll treat you to a meal when I'm free. What? A superstar actually wants to add a lowly staff member like me. The man suppressed his excitement and scanned the QR code to add Su Tumi on WeChat. The three of them walked to Xiangyi's exclusive dressing room. Ah Nan pursed his lips and said, "Isn't she just playing the good cop and bad cop? Be careful with your words." Si Chuanbai looked at Xiangyi and said, "Miss Xiang, it's better to stay away from such people." Xiangyi nodded. Ah Nan's eyes widened. "But she's obviously bad-mouthing Xiang Wan. Are we going to keep tolerating it?" Si Chuanbai said, "There's no practical point in being sharp-tongued." Ah Nan knew that he had a point, but his cheeks were still puffed up with anger. Si Chuanbai pressed the space between his eyebrows helplessly. "The jewelry brand that Su Tumi previously endorsed is about to expire. Do you think it's better for us to go over and scold her now and get provoked or snatch the endorsement deal from Miss Yang?" Ah Nan was speechless. "What?" he whispered. "Mr. Si, you seem to be the villain in a movie." Si Chuanbai raised his eyebrows. This was the first time someone had described him this way. Si Chuanbai patted Ah Nan's head of colorful hair and said a few words before leaving. Ah Nan stayed behind and accompanied Xiangyi to wait for the makeup artist and stylist. But even after waiting for a long time, there was still no sign of anyone. Ah Nan reacted and stood up with a whoosh. "Fasterisk CK, you're using this kind of elementary school trick. How shameless." In the entertainment industry, it was very common for competitors to trip each other up. It was his negligence that he didn't think that there would be such a despicable trick. Meanwhile, the stylist was carefully styling Su Tumi's hair. She said carefully, "Teacher Su, your hairline is a little high. Why don't I put on a few pieces of wig for you?" Su Tumi casually played with the manicure that she had just done while Sister Yen retorted, "How can you say that? Our decadent beauty is the Barbie of the world." Stylist. Barbie dolls don't have bald heads. However, she only dared to criticize in her heart and didn't have the guts to say it out loud. After a few seconds, Su Tumi said, "Make me have more hair than Xiangyi, understand?" Chapter 435. The stylist said, "Ah." Su Tumi asked, "Why? Is there a problem?" "There's more than just a problem, there's a huge problem." The stylist had watched Two Under One Roof before, so she could tell at a glance whether Xiangyi had any makeup or hair done. She had an amazing amount of hair, which was fluffy, smooth, black and tough. Regardless of whether she tied it into a bun or let it down casually, she would still look good. To reach her level, it wasn't something that could be done with wigs. The stylist tactfully said that she might have to wear a wig. She initially thought that Su Tumi would give up, but to her surprise, Su Tumi raised her hand and Sister Yen took out several wigs of different colors and lengths from her large backpack. The stylist thought, "That works too." Su Tumi's makeup and hair took more than 3 hours to complete. The girl in the mirror had long, chestnut-colored curly hair and exquisite, clear makeup. The pumpkin-colored eyeshadow made her beautiful eyes look exceptionally lively. The stylist already felt that she was beautiful enough, but she didn't expect Su Tumi to be unsatisfied at all. She even suggested that she change the makeup artist and stylist. In the end, even the assistant director was alarmed and personally came over to coax her for a long time. He promised that he would edit Su Tumi's photos frame by frame in post-production. Only then did Su Tumi reluctantly agree to record. The assistant director wiped his sweat and secretly lamented in his heart, "Su Tumi is really hard to please." However, she was indeed popular and capable. She had won the Best Actress award at the age of 23, and she had a strong family background too. Even he didn't dare to offend her easily. Hence, he had no choice but to coax her. "By the way, where's Xiangyi? Is she not done yet?" The assistant director couldn't help but feel a little frustrated after being angered by Su Tumi. In fact, he didn't want to invite Xiangyi, but for some reason, the director and scriptwriter decided to do it after watching Two Under One Roof for 5 minutes. It was simply unreasonable. One had to know that Xiangyi didn't even have a single piece of work that she was proud of, yet she was constantly on the hot search list. Her brother and grandparents were on the hot search list. Wasn't it all because she was born into a good family? The assistant director looked down on Xiangyi from the bottom of his heart. With the first impression, he instinctively vented his anger on Xiangyi. The assistant hurried over and came back saying, "The dressing room is empty. Teacher Xiangyi is not in." The assistant director flew into a rage. What is she doing in the dressing room? What? Was he going to throw his weight around and leave? Then let her go. Does she really think that our show can't survive without her? The assistant said obsequiously, "I heard that the stylist and makeup artist arranged for teacher Xiangyi suddenly fell ill and couldn't come. Could it be because of this?" The assistant director choked and quickly flew into a rage out of humiliation. Then wouldn't she have brought her own stylist and makeup artist? If he didn't even have this bit of adaptability, how could he survive in this industry? Why doesn't she reflect on herself? Why do other artists have to find trouble with her? The assistant. He didn't agree with the other party's point of view, but he didn't dare to refute, so he chose to keep his mouth shut. However, the more the assistant director thought about it, the angrier he got. Xiangyi just comes from a wealthy family, but she doesn't have any abilities at all. How dare she throw her weight around? Tell her that if she doesn't appear in front of me within 5 minutes, she doesn't have to come, the assistant director said sternly. In the next second, someone ran over while panting heavily. Is Teacher Su not ready yet? Teacher Xiang has been waiting at the filming location for a long time. Chapter 436. In an instant, the assistant director's face changed from green to red. It was an exciting scene. The assistant next to him secretly laughed and pretended to be surprised. What? Teacher Xiangyi's stylist and makeup artist didn't come, did they? The assistant director caught hold of her weakness and questioned. She went barefaced? What does she take national mass workout for? It's not a casual show like Two Under One Roof. Artists like her who don't know how to respect others should be banned. The errand keeper was dumbfounded. Is that so? But Teacher Xiangyi's hair and makeup are very beautiful. There's a man with colorful hair next to her who is helping her touch up her makeup. The assistant said, "Oh, that should be her manager." The assistant director was dumbfounded. Why does the manager know how to do this? Is he trying to steal Teacher Tony's job? His expression was ugly and he was still stubborn. How good can the makeup done by a manager be? I'll go take a look. If it's not up to standard, it'll have to be redone. Everyone at the scene suddenly fell silent, knowing that he was going to cause trouble. The assistant was indignant. It'll take at least an hour or two to redo. Isn't he just deliberately making things difficult for her? However, his words carried little weight and he couldn't say anything. He secretly sighed and prayed in his heart, "I hope Anan's skills aren't too bad so that Xiangyi won't be scolded too much." The filming location was Nanqing Gymnasium. The production team had contacted them in advance, and there was an area in the gymnasium that was specially cleared today. In order to promote various sports, the production team divided the process into 2 rounds. The first round was to accumulate points through the sports competition, and those with high points would receive rewards that could be used in the second round. The second round was an all-member competition that had many forms, such as tearing off name tags, catching criminals, and so on. In this round, they could use the props or various special cards obtained in the previous round. The first round of the day was archery. In order to make it more interesting, the production team used the method of drawing lots to choose different bows. There were professional recurve bows and cartoon plastic bows for comedic effect. The filming had yet to begin and the scene was chaotic and noisy. However, it was almost effortless to see Xiangyi in the crowd. The young girl's hair was permed into an egg curl and she wore a large red bow on her head, which made her milky white face look even more exquisite. At first glance, it looked like she was barefaced, but in fact she was scheming. The base makeup was clear and flawless, and the eye makeup was delicate and gentle. There was no heavy makeup on her red lips, but it highlighted Xiangyi's good looks very well. She was unbelievably beautiful. The assistant director was stunned. He had never seen Xiangyi in person before, and the shock he felt at this moment was immense. That face seemed to be born for the camera. Every move was casual and lazy, but it was captivating. Coincidentally, Su Tumi and Sister Yen also came over. Due to Su Tumi's status, the staff nearby hurriedly took the initiative to greet her. As soon as the assistant director turned his head, he saw Su Tumi, who seemed to be exuding an exquisite aura from head to toe. However, there was really no comparison. Makeup was ultimately just a superficial appearance. However, beauty lies in one's bones, not in one's appearance. Xiangyi, who had an excellent bone structure, could really defeat Su Tumi with just a little makeup. The assistant director had never felt that his face hurt so much before. Su Tumi stared at Xiangyi with her fists clenched. Why does she have so much hair? Chapter 437. Seeing Xiangyi's thick and lustrous hair, Su Tumi's eyes turned red with envy. When she was a child, she had quite a lot of hair, but ever since she entered the industry, she had to go through a lot of styling and perming. Ordinary people would have their hair damaged after perming and dyeing it 2 or 3 times, let alone perming and dyeing it frequently. Coupled with the stress of work and lack of sleep, Su Tumi became more and more popular and earned more and more money. However, her hair also became thinner and her hairline receded rapidly. Her head could be broken and she could bleed, but she would rather die than lift her bangs. Sister Yen went against her conscience and said, "Indeed, an amateur is an amateur. You can't compare to Decady at all. Decady, you're in such a good state today. Let me tell you, after this episode is broadcast, you're going to gain a large number of fans for your looks." Oh, she's really pretentious. Who is she trying to bluff with a bow and arrow? Not far away, Xiangyi was picking up a cool black recurve bow. Her body was leaning sideways, standing tall and straight, but her shoulders were turned to face the front of the arrow path. She slowly put an arrow on the bow and slowly pulled the bowstring. With a clang, she hit the bullseye. 10th ring. The number automatically popped up on the electronic display screen. Cheers and gasps of shock filled the air. Damn! She's so cool, so cool. Are you kidding me? Are you a professional here to torture scum? Oh my god, Xiangyi is so impressive. She hit the bullseye with 1 arrow. Sister Yen was speechless. 10th ring. Are you a damn celebrity or a national team player? While she was in a daze, Su Tumi brushed her hair and walked towards Xiangyi aggressively in her white shoes. By the time Sister Yen reacted, Su Tumi had already walked towards Xiangyi, scaring her so much that she broke out in cold sweat. Although Su Tumi was a troublemaker, she was very disdainful of scheming and scheming. She didn't put on airs either and often added everyone on WeChat. In Sister Yan's opinion, she was a little too arrogant and silly. Hence, she often played some tricks openly and secretly. On the surface, she deliberately asked for the mission card in advance today. On the surface, she secretly bribed Xiangyi's makeup artist and stylist. If they got into a conflict in public, it would be bad for public relations. Sister Yen hurriedly chased after her. Xiangyi tried the bow and found that it was still there, so she put it down. Suddenly, there was a sweet fruity aroma beside her. Xiangyi sniffed lightly and distinguished the smell of sea salt, sage and persimmon. Bright and sweet. She turned around and looked at Su Tumi. Su Tumi's tone was aggressive, but the words that she blurted out made Xiangyi stunned. "What brand of shampoo are you using?" Xiangyi. Question mark. "And what's the brand of conditioner, hair mask, essential oil and comb?" Xiangyi. In Su Tumi's eyes, her blank expression was a silent provocation. "Hey, are you going to say that you don't take care of your hair at all?" Su Tumi sneered. "Do you think I'll believe you? Humph. Forget it if you don't want to say it. I'll find the brand you're using sooner or later." Xiangyi. "I forgot some of the brands. Let me look for online orders." Do you need a link? Su Tumi. Yes, yes, yes. By the time Sister Yen trotted over, she realized that the two of them had added each other as friends and were still discussing a topic that confused her. I'll buy it tomorrow. I think I can get 300 to 30 yuan. Sure, you can add on the category coupons and VIP discounts. You can save even more. Really? You're so good at math. Sister Yan's head was filled with question marks. Are you women who lack money? Chapter 438. Sometimes the friendship between girls can really be described as magical. Clearly, they could call each other sisters when they met for the first time, and best friends who had been playing with each other for years would also let each other call each other daddy. Collecting and stocking up is a human instinct, and shopping is a woman's joy. Sister Yen originally thought that Su Tumi would get into a conflict with Xiangyi, but she never expected the two of them to be so harmonious. Su Tumi placed a few orders and was satisfied. She blinked at Xiangyi and said, "If I have anything useful in the future, I'll recommend it to you too." Xiangyi smiled and continued to play with her bow and arrow. Sister Yen hurriedly pulled Su Tumi to the side and said, Tumi, you have to be careful. What if she accidentally shoots you? Su Tumi said impatiently. Okay, got it. Sister Yen instructed. When the official recording begins later, stay away from her. You're the main guest for this episode, so she won't get too much screen time. Besides, we still have the mission card. Don't worry, Tumi will definitely come in first place this time. Su Tumi rolled her eyes and said, Can I shoot an arrow? No. Can I run? Neither would he. How can I come in first place? Sister Yen was speechless. What are you talking about? On the other side, the director organized a short meeting. What? Change the main guest. Change the gameplay. When he heard the screenwriter's suggestion, the assistant director couldn't accept it at all. The previous plan for this episode was quite good. It's not appropriate to suddenly change it now. The director was calm and collected. He picked up the thermos and drank a mouthful of goji berry water before saying indifferently, Didn't you see the scene of her shooting the arrow just now? What does a variety show need? The assistant director was originally displeased with Xiangyi. Once a person is prejudiced, everything the other party does is wrong. He said straightforwardly, She's not suitable. Our production team has never changed the main guest to the one with the lowest status. If we change it this time, who knows how the netizens will criticize our show. You know that the netizens nowadays will boycott whenever they want. I believe everyone doesn't want the reputation of the show that we've painstakingly built to be ruined because of a mistake in decision-making, right? The director looked at him deeply and didn't criticize him. Instead, he answered his own question. What a variety show needs is a joke, a highlight, and a thrill. With these three, one could rule the world. I think Xiangyi has the potential to be the main guest. The scriptwriter added, That's right. That's why I suggest that we use the same strategy as in the video game. We should highlight Xiangyi for this episode and let her give the show a different soul. The assistant director was speechless. He felt that the two of them had gone crazy. It's up to you, he said stiffly. If it doesn't work, don't blame me for not warning you. The director, scriptwriter, and the others discussed the new game rules and plans in low voices. The assistant director felt indignant. Just wait, they will definitely regret it. Instead of using Su Tumi as the main guest, they went to replace her with an inexplicable woman. It was simply unreasonable. He hadn't realized that he had been ignored by the core members. The official recording began. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's National Mass Workout. I'm your good friend Xiao Yao. The host was the resident MC Wang Yao, who had acted in many family dramas and was very well known among the middle-aged and elderly. First of all, let's welcome our sister Xiangyi. Outside the venue, Sister Yan's expression changed instantly. Chapter 439. There was an unwritten rule in National Mass Workout that the first flying guest to be cued would be the main guest of the episode. As the name implied, the main guest would have the most screen time, and even an A-list celebrity wouldn't mind less exposure. Hence, the main guest was a must-have for every episode. Of course, the program team had a high degree of freedom and could choose whoever they wanted. However, Sister Yen had already tacitly agreed that Su Tumi was the main guest, but she didn't expect Xiangyi to be the main guest. It was just like a cooked duck that had flown into the mouth of a detestable person. The several seniors invited for this episode were more relaxed and didn't intend to fight for it. Another popular young hunk and a popular web drama actress looked at each other but didn't say anything. Su Tumi yawned in front of everyone's eyes. Sister Yen was speechless. "Are you sleepy at this time? How can a child of your age fall asleep?" After announcing the guest list, Wang Yao announced the rules of the first round. They would first draw lots and shoot arrows according to the bow they drew. Each person could shoot 10 arrows, and the person with the highest total score would be in first place. "I now announce that the National Mass Workout has begun," Wang Yao said with a grin. Jokes aside, the people present were all celebrities and they couldn't possibly be as obedient as primary school students. Before they drew lots, everyone was chatting, drinking water, studying the target, and discussing the bow. It was a mess. Wang Yao complained incessantly. "Everyone, please cooperate with me. If you don't, I'll be fired." He had a humble character in National Mass Workout, and was known as the host who couldn't control the situation in the entire entertainment industry. The netizens would always despise him while laughing. The variety show was quite effective. Xiangyi took the lead to draw lots. Wang Yao asked mysteriously, "Sister E, what did you draw? Is it a recurve bow? I think you'll definitely look super cool with a recurve bow." "It's not a recurve bow, but it should be cool too," Xiangyi said confidently, as if she had drawn a god-level weapon. In the next second, she picked up the only cartoon plastic pink bow and arrow on the scene and calmly pulled the bowstring. The girl stood upright and in a standard posture, but the more serious she was, the funnier she seemed. The director sitting behind the camera couldn't help but laugh out loud. The seated player had drawn a cartoon bow and arrow, which was a joke of its own. Soon after, the others also drew horn bows, crossbows, and hilarious slingshots. However, the most amazing thing was that Su Tumi had drawn the most professional recurve bow. The camera caught her dumbfounded expression. Su Tumi carefully picked up the bow and pretended to shoot an arrow. She raised her chin proudly and asked the person beside her, "Does my bow look good?" "Yes." Xiangyi happened to be beside her. "If you hold it like this, it'll look even better." She was at the back and raised her hand to help Su Tumi adjust the way she held the recurve bow. From a certain perspective, it seemed as if Xiangyi was holding Su Tumi in her arms. The assistant director could not help but say, "What nonsense is Xiangyi doing? Jun Han and Su Tumi should be the ones acting in such an idle drama." Director: "The weather is really good." Screenwriter: "Drink more hot water." Assistant director: "Is there something wrong with these two? Why are they not answering the question?" A living person like him was talking. Were they deaf? Chapter 440. Little did she know that when the staff saw this scene, especially the girls, they wished they could shriek like groundhogs. Who would have thought that the combination of soft girl x sweet girl would be so easy to fall in love with? "Did I make it clear?" Xiangyi asked softly. Su Tumi pursed her lips and said, It's all right." She pulled the bowstring and was about to release it, but Xiangyi pressed her hand down. There was a warning in her eyes. "You can't release an empty string, you'll hurt your hand easily." Anan was very good at makeup. He used a brush to gently brush some blush on the tip of Xiangyi's nose, making her look rather pitiful. With such a beautiful face, even if she was a little fierce, she would still be unbelievably beautiful, making it impossible for others to get angry at her. Tumi froze for a moment and said awkwardly, "Why are you being so fierce?" Although she said this, she still listened to Xiang-yi and slowly let go of her hand, releasing her strength. The assistant director muttered, "What's the matter with those girls? What's there to be excited about?" The director smiled without saying anything. Everyone took turns to shoot. Apart from the young hunk who shot the 7th ring, the others all shot the 3rd ring and 4th ring amateurishly. Some even missed the target. Xiang-yi was undoubtedly the most eye-catching. She was given the lightest cartoon bow, so logically speaking, she shouldn't have had any advantage. However, she pulled the string and released the arrow smoothly. 9th ring. Everyone was speechless. You're not holding a plastic bow, you're actually holding an epic artifact, right? Another funny person was Tumi. Her archery posture was taught by Xiang-yi and she learned it very well. At first glance, she looked very intimidating. However, she would either shoot the 1st or 2nd ring every time. After finally hitting the yellow center, Tumi was so excited that she jumped on the spot. "Ah, I hit it." Sister Yen, who was watching her jump outside the field, was so worried that she would throw the wig away. Xiang-yi's gentle voice reminded him, "You're shooting at my target." Tumi's smile froze and gradually disappeared. "Ha ha 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 ha." The director laughed again. The staff couldn't help but laugh. They could almost imagine how much the netizens who saw this scene would laugh in front of their screens. It was the 10th arrow's turn. Xiang-yi was already far ahead. She deserved to be first place, with a total score of 81 points. She pulled the bowstring and her doe eyes narrowed slightly. Her long eyelashes cast beautiful shadows, and her jawline was exquisite and superior. The nylon bowstring touched the girl's cherry-colored lips, as if offering a kiss. Then she suddenly let go, swish. Bang. 2 loud sounds rang out. A bright red number popped up on the LCD screen. 10 points. There was an uproar in the crowd. Xiang-yi had actually hit the bullseye with a cartoon plastic bow. However, what was with the second sound just now? A staff member came forward to check the situation. A moment later, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Teacher Xiang-yi hit the center of the bullseye, which is the 10th ring of the 10 rings. The pinhole camera's screen shattered. Everyone. An arrow had shattered the camera screen. Even the screenwriter wouldn't dare to write the script like that. Xiang-yi said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I'll compensate for it." The director waved his hand and said, no need, the effect of this segment is very good. Sister E, you're the light of variety shows. Tell the post-production team that I'll edit it myself." There was another uproar at the scene. As a top variety show director in the industry, he didn't need to personally monitor the post-production, let alone edit it. Sister E Rizabai. Chapter 441. The nicer the director was to Xiang-yi, the more sullen the assistant director's expression was. Is this considered a slap to my face in public? He's going against me because he doesn't think highly of Xiang-yi. At the end of the first round of the competition, Xiang-yi came in first place and received a mysterious prop as well as a small gold medal. She opened it and looked at it before putting it back in her pocket indifferently. As for Tumi, she came in last place and didn't get anything at all. She might even be scolded by the audience when the program is broadcast in the future. At the thought of the anti-fans who called her bald previously, Tumi felt extremely aggrieved and she became listless like a frosted eggplant. All of a sudden, a golden figure appeared in front of her. "This is for you," Xiang-yi said casually. She was usually very tolerant of good-looking people. Besides, Tumi looked like she was about to cry. Be it because of her upbringing or because she was obsessed with good looks, Xiang-yi couldn't remain indifferent. Tumi sniffled and asked in a childish voice, "Are you really giving it to me?" Xiang-yi nodded. The truth was that she left in a hurry today and forgot to bring some candy. She felt a little regretful that she couldn't use her ancestral skills to give out candy. Su Tumi glanced at the medal, looked at her toes, and glanced at the medal again. She did it several times and vividly expressed her desire to take it but was too embarrassed to do so. Xiangyi seemed to have seen through her and stuffed the medal into her hand. "I'll go pull out the arrow." Su Tumi stared at her back in shock. The arrows that they shot out previously were still crooked on the target, and there were so many of them that pulling out the arrows became a laborious task. However, it seemed to be a piece of cake for Xiangyi. She gently pulled the arrow out with her fair and slender hand. The popular hunk also came over to try, but in the end, he was stunned and couldn't pull it out at all. He only succeeded after using all his strength. The corners of Su Tumi's mouth curled up and she put the medal into her pocket properly. The filming came to an end. The second round of the mission was set to be a real-life counterattack, so they had to change the venue. The artists got into their respective nanny vans and raced against time to rest. Sister Yen was still trying to brainwash Su Tumi. "Tumi, that Xiangyi is obviously up to no good. She just wants to ride on your coattails. Think about it. If a man were to do the act of gifting a gold medal, wouldn't it be greasy? Don't tell me she's trying to set herself up as the alpha leader or something. Don't be fooled by her." Su Tumi fiddled with the small gold medal. The props made by the production team were quite exquisite, and it seemed to be made of real gold. She said absent-mindedly, "Don't you think she and I are fated, Sister Yen?" "My anti-fans scolded me for being bald. Her nickname is Rabbit. Look, this is simply fate." Sister Yen was speechless. "Hey, do you know she really smells good? Her hair smells good, her clothes smell good, and her body smells good too. No, I have to ask her what kind of body lotion she uses." Su Tumi lowered her head and sent Xiangyi a WeChat message. Sister Yen was speechless. Fine, I shouldn't have had any expectations for this silly girl. She shouldn't have had any. Everyone rushed to the venue of the real-life counterattack and rested for a while. The popular hunk and Su Tumi's fans had all prepared support food trucks. One of them had snacks such as fried chicken and curried fish balls, while the other had drinks such as lemonade and milk tea. There were cheers at the scene. When one is tired from work, food is the best way to heal one. The assistant director ate the fish balls in big mouthfuls and complained in a muffled voice. "Tisk to say, that person doesn't even have a support team. She's really miserable." Before he could finish, "You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."